Electoral trial is just one of many political corruption scandals plaguing Brazil. Let's bring in Marcos Troyjo, live from Rio de Janeiro. He's a professor at Columbia University. Marcos, so what will happen if Temer, in fact, is convicted and forced out of office? Talk to us about the political implications, the economic implications.
Well, if Michel Temer is convicted at the electoral court now taking place in Brasilia, power is going to go over to the Speaker of the House, and this Congress leader will have to call on indirect elections for president within the next 90 days, which is probably going to send Brazil into further uncertainty territory politically, especially because we're in the very core of voting a number of structural reforms at Parliament in Brazil. It's the case of Social Security reform. It's the case of labor reform. And these votes are essential for Brazil's return to economic stability and to level the playing field in terms of what's going to come after the presidential elections that are scheduled for 2018. In terms of the economic repercussions of what's happening right now, I believe market forces have now turned their attention to whether the economic team that is made up of Finance Minister Henrique Meirelles and Governor of the Central Bank Elaine Goldfein will remain in office even if Temer is forced out. If that be the case, then I do not see much worries coming to investors in Brazil. This is what they want to see. They want macroeconomic policy to go on as it is right now. State-owned enterprises are much better managed since Michel Temer took office. So if the economic team remains in place, no matter what the fate of Michel Temer will be, then I think Brazil is going to emerge through this time of great political uncertainty.
There are clearly different investigations going on, accusations of illegal campaign financing. Just one of them, Marcos, is there a common thread or link that connects the dots here?
I think there is, and I think it's Brazil's adoption of a state capitalist model from 2003 when Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva first took office, and the way his political coalition macro-managed Brazil, especially when it comes to how state-owned enterprises were used not only for industrial policy, but also to enrich political parties in Brazil. The reasons why Michel Temer and Dilma Rousseff are now being tried at the electoral court have to do with campaign money in the presidential 2014 elections, and much of those resources were fueled into political parties through contracts that were artificially inflated. Not to mention the fact that the so-called Petrolão, the big scandal involving Petrobras, which is the objective of the probe under the car wash investigation, also has to do with this illegal financing that's coming from state-owned enterprises. So it has to do with Brazil's political economy. That model has to change, and I think Operation Car Wash in Brazil now is helping to change that model, which I think in the midterm will be much to the benefit of Brazil.
Marcos, let me quickly ask you, is this the new normal in Brazil? One corruption scandal after another?
You see, I think we are sort of in the very middle of the storm. I think the worst is behind us. I think there's a lot of cleaning of acts in terms of Brazil's political systems, in terms of its model of political economy. But things are improving. I think Brazil will be a much better country in terms of governance, in terms of compliance, of institution building after this is all over. I speak to many colleagues from other Latin American countries. They say, I wished this was happening in my country. Brazil is doing what it takes to become, a modern, democratic market economy of the 21st century. Unfortunately, in the short run, this creates a lot of turbulence, and this is what we're undergoing right now.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Marcos Troyjo, live for us in Rio de Janeiro. Thank you.